Bartomeu resigned at the end of October in 2020, but the issues at Barcelona continue. The aftershocks of how the club was run in the last decade or so. Now, there's a legitimate threat that a massive clear-out of talent is on the cards, including some club legends, if they want to have a chance at hanging on to Lionel Messi. Hi there, I'm Adrian from GardenHobbyist.com. I also contribute to Rabona TV, and today we're looking at how Barcelona have got themselves into a situation where all of these players they are signing this summer, Depay, Aguero, etc., they can't even register them to play in the league yet. So we're going to look at three things here. How Barcelona got to this point in which they are in, and this isn't even hyperbole, they're basically in financial ruin, how this could block them from registering some of their new signings for the upcoming La Liga season, and what this does when it comes to Messi signing up with Barca again. Or not. My sources are listed below for your reading pleasure, as well as some other links that may be of interest to you, so let's do this. I'm sure you've heard over and over just how much trouble Barcelona are in when it comes to finances. If you're a long-time subscriber or even just someone who discovered Rabona TV in the last year or so, you would have seen a couple of videos that spoke about how Barcelona have ended up in this awful financial situation. Thanks to the financial mismanagement of the previous board, it is well known that Barcelona's liabilities or gross debt is somewhere around, brace yourself, 1.3 billion euros. Back in May, Barcelona took out a loan of 100 million euros in order for them to pay their players, as written by Sam Marsden and Moises Lawrence for ESPN. You have debt, you add more. This is a vicious cycle, and even with the changing of hands and Joan Laporta on board as the new president, the old new president, I guess you could say, well, he was shocked by the state of the finances when he came on board again. Speaking to La Vanguardia at the end of June, Laporta said, quote, "The club is in a worse state than I expected, and I knew I was coming into a difficult situation. There are contracts which condition how much we can do. There are things that must be explained by the previous board, and I don't rule out taking some sort of action. We will explain everything, because if not, we will be complicit." Bartomeu and the previous board, as if the feelings of contempt for them couldn't be pushed further. Laporta has basically come out and confirmed that, no, it's not as bad as you thought. It's worse. He went on saying, quote, "We've encountered a squad with old-fashioned contracts and we will have to work out what to do. The existing contract can be changed or restructured. After that, there are more drastic measures that we hope we don't have to adopt. But nothing's ruled out if it's for the good of the club. Between salaries and amortizations, it's about 650 million euros annually, which is more than the club's revenue. These salaries are out of step with the current market." The thing is, until now, nobody is willing to change their contracts or leave. So yeah, bloated contracts that demand more than the club even manages to make in revenue is certainly a massive worry. For example, Antoine Griezmann makes a rumored 800,000 euros per week. Let me say that again. Antoine Griezmann makes 800,000 euros per week. Both Gab Marcotti and Julien Laurent spoke about this on a recent podcast, as well as many other sources. Whoever decided that this was a good idea, I'll let you guess who ultimately signed off on it, by the way, but whoever decided this was a good idea is basically playing FIFA and hates the negotiation process, so they take the wealthy takeover perk and just offer gargantuan contracts to players to bypass that. Except, Barcelona don't have that wealthy takeover perk, so this is a great way to run your club into the ground, even if that number for Griezmann isn't 100% accurate. There are some that say he makes a little bit less per week. It's still just an illustration of just how insane the Barcelona salary problem is. Top players in the Premier League, one of the most financially powerful leagues in the world, make half of that. We're talking about guys like Kevin De Bruyne and Paul Pogba, according to, again, Gab Marcotti. Factor in the pandemic and the financial hardships that has brought to even some of the most successful clubs in the world. Just imagine what that has done to FC Barcelona. It's not just the Camp Nou that they have lost out on with its 99,000 seat capacity and the match day revenue that comes with it, but the Barcelona Museum provides a ton of revenue as well, as I went over in a previous video. And so, considering all of this, what's with the signings of massive names such as Depay and Aguero? You'd think that a club with these kind of wage issues, stroke financial issues in general, wouldn't be hitting the market too much during the summer. Perhaps you'd expect them to maybe take a few seasons away from making massive signings and instead look to their youth side. La Masia has certainly provided them top players in the past. On top of that, you can understand why Barcelona were, and allegedly still are, so determined to make the European Super League work, with the promises of massive payouts for the founding clubs being lucrative to those who have ran their clubs into the ground financially. Apparently Real Madrid has some major issues too, and look who's at the head of the ESL. Sure, Aguero, Depay, and Garcia all arrive on free transfers and have taken pay cuts in order to represent Barcelona. But that's still additional wages to their already ridiculous bill. Some have calculated that the player wages alone make up, between 105 to 110% of Barcelona's current annual revenue. That's a huge uh-oh. And so why does this become an even bigger problem for Barcelona? They've made these signings, but thanks to the economic control department of La Liga, they may not even be able to register these new signings. Not without getting rid of other players, that is. As Dermot Corrigan wrote for The Athletic, and as I've linked below, of course, the economic controls in the league determine how much a club can spend. That's on players and staff, and it includes salaries as well. It's not limited just to transfer spend. As Corrigan wrote, factors which are considered include expected revenues for the coming season, but also profits and losses from previous years, overhead costs, non-player contracts, current savings, any existing debt repayments, investments, and sources of external financing. So the overall aim of this, as I'm sure you've deduced by now, is to ensure that clubs within La Liga aren't overextending themselves and are playing within their limits financially. Because Barcelona have such a massive debt and wage bill, the economic controls of La Liga have given them an overall operating squad limit of what is rumored to be around 160 million euros, give or take probably, 20 to 30 million euros. And so that's why the new arrivals can't be registered. Barcelona are faced with a very difficult decision at the moment. In a sense, it feels as if they are faced with the prospect of losing Messi or losing other extremely important players from their squad, multiple players. Javier Tebas, the president of La Liga, basically said that if there are no exits, then Messi signing with Barcelona is impossible. In speaking to Jugones, Tebas said that the rules are the rules and that they are inflexible, even in the name of keeping a star of Messi's stature within the league. Here's Roger Torreo's recap of that Tebas interview. Speaking to the program Jugones of La Sexta, Tebas has admitted that "I do not know if Messi will start the league with Barca," admitted the president of the Spanish Football Association, detailing that right now the Barca club would not comply with the fair play financials. If there are no exits, it is impossible, he added. Going further, Tebas has said, quote, "Barca are currently exceeding their salary cap. I hope they can include Messi's wages, but to do so, they will have to cut somewhere else. We cannot make one rule for Messi, another for Haaland." So that will really paint the picture quite clearly. If they cannot get their budget under the mark necessary, then their new signings, including Messi, will not be registered. Remember, Messi's contract has expired, so he would technically be a new signing on their books. And going further with Messi's situation, Laporta has alluded to a deal being agreed with him. Quote, "We want him to stay and Leo wants to stay. It is all well on the way, but the fair play issue is still left. I'd like to tell you he's staying, but at this moment I cannot, as we are looking for the best solution for both sides." Strange, and stranger still, what is happening and what is being said by Laporta are kind of flying in the face of each other. Perhaps he knows that they will be making a lot of sales this summer and just hasn't been forthright with it, as Laporta has spoken in the past about how more signings will follow Aguero, Garcia, Depay, and Emerson. As Laporta himself has said, quote, "There will be 3 or 4 more signings. We're building a really competitive team." I mean, maybe he said this before he knew just how small their operating budget would be. So who could be leaving? I mean, there have been rumors about, Antoine Griezmann being shopped around to various clubs around Europe, though his massive salary could provide an unfortunate sort of tripping hazard for any moves away from Barcelona, unless, of course, he's willing to take a massive pay cut. Sorry, that was a wasp. With how things have gone in Barcelona, perhaps a change of scenery, even with less money, would be welcomed by the now 30-year-old Frenchman, or he may take the bail route and just stick around at Barcelona. On top of that, there are rumors that senior players such as Sergio Busquets, Jordi Alba, and pretty much everyone at the club will be considered for sales. Anyone willing to make an offer for a Barcelona player will be listened to, really, as the need to cut down their budget is quite insane. There's a world where Aguero, Depay, Garcia, etc. won't be registered. It's unlikely, yet Barcelona will still be on the line to pay their salaries regardless. So it's all sort of in the balance at the moment. All things point toward, an exodus at Barcelona. Players like Coutinho and Griezmann could be on their way out, and there is a world also where Messi wears another club shirt next season. We'll either see a ton of names leaving the club, or Messi leaving the club, or a bit of both. Good morning, editor Adrian here, and there was an update as I was about to export this video, actually. Now, Diario Sport have claimed that Messi is willing to take a 50% reduction in his wages. Is that a silver bullet to all of their problems? No, it isn't, and you'd still expect there to be a lot of outgoings at FC Barcelona. But it is helpful in a sense. I mean, I still look to the fact that Javier Tebas said that without some exit, Messi will be impossible. I think it was always sort of a given that Messi would have to take a pay cut just because he was on a ridiculous wage before. And with the reductions that they need to make to their wage bill, the 50% helps. And maybe that will be a way to factor in Messi, but there will still likely be a lot of outgoing transfers. All right. Regardless, it could be a long and painful next month or so for Barcelona supporters as this gets itself sorted out. But that's all from me on this matter, for now, at least. I want to thank you for joining me, and if you enjoyed this video, then do me a favor and drop a like, and if you're new, then be sure to subscribe. My name is Adrian from House and Home magazine, and we'll see you later. Ciao.